Hi, this is Jonathan again. This is part 3 of my real estate investing journey. And in my previous 2 videos, I said that they would be unscripted and unedited. I realize a script, maybe not a script, more like talking points, is helpful. So perhaps the video won't go as long, or if it does go as long, there might be more concentrated content or valuable stuff for you. So I did kind of write out some of what I want to say because I don't want it to be jumbled or out of order or forgotten. So you can probably tell I have hat hair right now. I went, well, I don't Uber all the time. I walk sometimes to the library or to a coffee shop or somewhere else to work, so my wife can take the kids in the car. We only have one car. We live in a 2-bedroom apartment. And like you, we are wanting to improve our situation. And again, real estate investing is the best means I see for that, for me. And perhaps for you as well, perhaps for a lot of people, especially if your college degree is not, or if you don't have, if you haven't studied law or medicine or something like that. I studied communications with an emphasis in print media, so journalism and writing, that kind of thing. I already mentioned that. I see real estate investing as a way to get a piece of the pie that perhaps otherwise wouldn't be available to me. And so I mentioned the hat hair because I was wearing a hat because it's really hot. I decided to save money by not taking Uber. Got a $4 sandwich at Sprouts. Went to the library and worked. I already mentioned what my goals are. I'm working towards a property, and was looking out of state. And this opportunity to buy in Bakersfield came up, and so I'll give you an update on that. The lady, the seller, she's been dragging her feet, and she wants to involve her daughter in the escrow process, and it looks like next week is when we would open up escrow. So I'm going to call her on Thursday, which is tomorrow, and going to really try and set that in stone. And at the same time, I'll be bringing out a real estate investor, or I'm sorry, a realtor that is out there that I was put in touch with, and he's going to bring some of his contractors. They're going to bid, so hopefully I can justify the 2-hour drive, 2.5-hour drive out to Bakersfield next week. By killing 2 birds with 1 stone, and I'm just hoping for no more hiccups or anything else that would delay the acquiring of that property. So excited about that. Anyway, today I want to talk a little bit about them, more commonly known as they. It's this idea that seems to have been drilled into us. It's this idea that there's this omniscient group of people that runs the world. They always know more than you do. Have you ever asked, who are they anyway? And could I be one of them, perhaps, ever? I think this idea was perfectly captured by the comedian Brian Regan, and he was doing a skit on somebody who was complaining about getting tangled up in the telephone cord. And they said, they can put a man on the moon, but they can't build a phone cord that doesn't get tangled up. And I think we do that a lot. I think we blame them, whoever they are, for the lack of solutions to a lot of problems in this world. At least psychologically, I think that gets us off the hook. Gets us off the hook for having to do the work to find a solution ourselves. I'm going to call it the them complex. Well, much to the disappointment of conspiracy theorists, this idea of an all-knowing group that runs the world is a lie. But I also think we find a kind of perverse security in believing this lie. It gives us an excuse to talk ourselves out of risky ventures, no matter how rewarding they might be. Why even try to search for a great deal on a property? They will always grab the deals before you can even get one. I know the feeling. It's where if you see a possible gold mine, you strongly feel, well, there must be another 1,000 people that are going to get this deal. They're going to take all the good deals. They're going to beat me to it. So why even compete? But the reality is, the people that are getting the deals are normal, imperfect people just like you and me. Their only edge is that they believe they have a chance. You know, after they land that first deal, the rest really is history. I hear it all the time, and I'm expecting that for myself when I land this deal in Bakersfield. The rest is history. Once you taste it, you start to understand what it means to be a pioneer. What is a pioneer? It's someone who steps out, takes a risk, and gets a reward, unlike any reward that they have ever experienced before, back when they were doing only safe things. The pioneer realizes that they are actually not watching. He realizes that simply by taking a step, he is in fact one of them. You know, in many ways, the pioneer is beautifully alone, vulnerable, free. That's a wonderful and scary feeling at the same time. I know entrepreneurs go through this all the time. The pioneer is exposed. The pioneer has no safety net. And yet also, he has nobody prescribing his steps. I realize that most people, including myself, are afraid. We're afraid to be pioneers. We want so badly to trust in the vague authority that's just out there, whoever or whatever it is. Just tell me what to do. Tell me the sure thing, so I don't have to complicate my life by experimenting on my own to find it. Well, the pioneers are those who realize that there are very few sure things, and that a few other savvy folks, other pioneers, are figuring it all out and making it up as they go. Well, this actually relates to what I talked about in the previous video, and to recap on that, I shared 3 key ingredients for success. They were networking, persistence, and education. Our fear is that they have those 3 things in infinite measure. This them complex gives us that fear. I think a lot of people can relate to that. They have those 3 things in infinite measure, so small fries like us need not apply. And because of this, our fear that they will get to all the good deals and get to all the good deals first actually becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. John D. Rockefeller was once asked, for some context, John D. Rockefeller was the oil tycoon who was like the richest man in the world back in the early 20th century. He was once asked, how much money is enough? And he said, just $1 more. And many of us, I think, have that attitude when it comes to the knowledge that we think we need to acquire before we feel confident taking the first steps in real estate. We want to say, how much knowledge is enough? Well, just one more article, just one more podcast. Here's the irony in that. I don't know how to put it into words exactly. The irony is, if you're like me, then whenever you read a real estate blog or podcast, or whenever you, really any kind of book or any input on it, you feel a strong sense of hurry, of fear of missing out, of even angst, like, oh my gosh, they're doing this and I'm not. People are getting it done. And they're sharing all these steps that are way more than I can memorize. I've got to do something. So I'll go read more books. I'll go read some more blog posts. Then I'll do something. The neat thing is, if you've studied real estate for even just a month, think of what you are aware of now that you weren't aware of just a month ago. Perhaps you'll experience a moment of the them complex and start feeling like everyone else must certainly know these things you know. I know that happens to me. But just go and have a conversation with anybody, a coworker, maybe with a couple people, and talk about real estate, and you'll probably be surprised by their admiration of your knowledge and their lack of knowledge. I've found that more often. Oh my gosh, I do know stuff, and a lot of people don't know stuff. And it's true, real estate investing there are a lot more investors out there than there were maybe even 10 years ago, and I think a lot of that is due to the internet. But it's still, they're still rare, all things else considered. If you've studied even for a month, you have more understanding than a lot of people. The truth is that all people are ignorant about most things. Even with the real estate knowledge that we have, each of us is still ignorant about most things. That's because none of us is omniscient. Not even them. And since we're pointing out ironies today, here's another one. We expand our understanding of reality when we understand just how narrow a slice of understanding we actually have. When you realize that all of us are just specialists in our own unique little niches of life, then you're free to start exploring just what it is that you can offer to the world, and where it is that you can use your unique edge to make a difference and to make an income. One Bigger Pockets article that I talked about, that I read, talked about how all successful people have a common thread. The thread is the discipline to acquire knowledge and then the courage to apply it. So you can choose through education and persistence to swim with the pioneers. We talk a lot about the system. Well, there are humans powering that system, and the ones defining its course are the pioneers. Why can't you be part of that? Why can't I be part of that? And then do some good while we're at it. The system doesn't have to be spoken of in such a negative way. We need to do something about it. We need to be the solution finders to the problems that they aren't solving. Humans are what make stuff happen. Not nebulous forces, not some vague group of them, and not even the Illuminati. It's really up to you, pioneer. It's in your hands. Don't fear the competition. Be confident and take courage. Thank you.